Doris Fletcher was about to become a disaster. I'm getting close to having all the evidence.
McCullum puts 2 and 2 together and gets 10. If not a million. He leaps to conclusions simply because a vampire is involved. Nothing else is down. Oh, there's an exterminator down here. It's in this chest. Hello?
Turn around, sir.
No, I really shouldn't be in your headquarters, should I? Too late for that now, though. Oh. Ow. Give me that blood. Come on. Go down. Okay. What's in here?
It's locked, all right.
Safe. Evidence safe. Until further notice, this safe will be used to store sensitive evidences. It must always be locked. If you need to access it, just find me on the last floor to get the key. And bloody remember to bring it back to me when you're done. Rodney.
I should find the key to that box.
The last floor? What's the last floor? Does he mean the basement or the top floor?
It's locked, all right.
Well, we're not getting in to where Edgar is.
It's locked.
So I assume the key for his cell is within that safe. Let's go find this Rodney. Right now, all I can presume is by last floor, he means top floor.
Lively! It's on to us!
That's it. I'm on to you.
Oh my God! Vermin!
You die. Stop calling me vermin. I'm a well-dressed gentleman.
Easy does it, boys.
Oh, hello.
Can deal with this vermin.
That's it. Sugar, that's a lot of them. Okay, let's back up and heal.
The beast must die.
Careful.
Die, vermin!
You take that. Ow. Oh, careful. You can take one of these. Right, he's getting low. Can I run around and get him? Well, we're on this merry goose chase. I can. Ooh.
I can now open the box.
Right, well, that was Rodney. Do you think Usher's journal is going to be in that safe? Ow. Let's get some blood. Ow. No, 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 no. Gotta heal. Okay. Right. Usher's journal may well be in that safe. That's what my gut says. If they're keeping Edgar downstairs, I'm imagining they're going to keep other material related to the Brotherhood of St. Paul's close at hand. Let's see.
I really don't know if I should read this.
The notebook. Oh, and the what? There's a note. The Vampire Knight. William Marshall. Forget the legend about the man. The one most of you have heard of. The one most of you have never heard of, you lazy bastards. Forget the empty tomb in the temple church. Forget the death of those among us who died trying to locate him. We, the guards, know that he is still hiding somewhere. That the only fact we must keep in mind And that's the only fact we must keep in mind. Another small detail we need to keep in mind. This little effer is clever. How many times have we thought we had cornered him to finally only find old dust and cobwebs? Marshall has been a vampire for 1,000 years. We're no match until we change our plans concerning the hunt. So here are a few questions for you, and I want all of them answered before speaking of another great hunt to pin the leech down. Who helped him escape his den under the temple church? We know now for a fact that a private contractor was paid to move a large coffin from the church a few years before we investigated the tomb. What exactly did the traitors of Brotherhood of St. Paul discuss with Marshall when they met in 1785 in London? The report of this meeting has been burnt, but witnesses remain of a request made by Marshall to access a specific book in their library. Why does the monstrosity known as Lady Blackwood seem linked to Marshall? They exchanged letters. She went to London to meet him in 1786. According to Brotherhood spies, she tried to discreetly buy his castle in Wales in 1793, before fleeing when spotted by our fearless mentor Kendall Stone. See the pattern here? What happened during these few years? Why such agitation and activity? Answer these questions, my brothers, and you will find the path to our most eminent foe, William Marshall, oldest vampire of England to survive our righteous wrath. From Know Your Enemies by Cole Aldrich, Pre-Win leader. So Lady Blackwood. She went to London in 1786, a year after William Marshall went to meet the Brotherhood in 85. Years after, she tried to buy his castle in Wales. Who could this Lady Blackwood be? Hello? Oh, the memoirs! Penned by William Marshall himself. The Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole finally agreed to meet me in London. They proposed to meet inside the new Cathedral of St. Paul. I like the wit and solemnity of these men. What a symbol, to choose the place where I defeated this disaster, but also the place where I fell. I agreed to their proposition. There in the sacred silence of the church and under the eye of God, they respectfully listened to me. They acknowledged my victory against the evil creature, the Disastro, the Eater of Stars, who only wished to spread death and pestilence all around her. Since they acknowledged my will to save London in 1666, they heard my request, my burning desire to stop the blood of hate. Their primate promised to come back to me with an answer. The primate of St. Paul wrote back to me with just a name, the Tear of Angels. According to him, this artifact could heal anything, cleanse any blackened soul and purify my blood. Blessed be the Lord, it took me more than 100 years to find a cure for the blood of hate. But I may finally have found it. Soon the rage shall end. Soon I may repair the wrong I did and cleanse my failures. Now, all I need to do is retrieve the necessary ingredients to create the artifact. Blood of the purest heart, mixed with the blood of a king. To find such rare ingredients is not what worries me most, for time is on my side. It is the last part that worries me. Pure essence of garlic. I'm afraid it will literally hurt like hell when I drink the antidote, but if that's the price to pay to cleanse my soul and correct my mistakes, I am ready to endure this excruciating pain.
Blood of a pure heart, garlic, blood of a king. I don't understand. Perhaps this is what McCullum drank. I had better keep that in mind.
A drop of the blood of King Arthur. Can I get Swansea? I do have that notebook of Usher Talltree. However, do I really care about reading it? Read it and face my wrath. I've learnt enough from the documents here about the Brotherhood's involvement with William Marshall. Therefore, for now, we will hold off on reading Usher's journal, and perhaps he will share more knowledge with us on our return. Oh my, Edgar!
Edgar. Edgar, can you hear me?
Jonathan, is it really you?
It is, I'm here. Let's get you down.
Easy. Easy. Save your strength. I'm getting you out of here.
Come on. The way should be clear.
Don't try to spare me. As a physician, I know all too well when it's too late.
No, hold on.
Punctured lung, broken ribs, and internal bleeding. An accurate diagnosis, wouldn't you say?
Edgar, what happened?
They wanted me to confess. Beat me black and blue.
Jeffrey McCullum ambushed me at the Pembroke Hospital. He was convinced you and I were responsible for the Skull epidemic.
I never imagined that self-righteous fanatic would dare to attack us in the open.
He paid for it.
What became of him?
To prove him wrong, I let him go.
Really? You sure that was the wisest course of action?
That was
Time
the
will
only
tell.
course of action.
The most intriguing part of his accusation was that you and I were the pawns of some ancient vampire.
William Marshall. Yes, they tortured me to make me confess the same nonsense.
Edgar, I need to know. I've had a feeling for a while, but something's being hidden from me. It better not be you hiding information from me.
I think you're hiding something, Edgar.
What do you mean?
William Marshall, for example. You speak of him as if you know him. How is that?
Jonathan, I cannot say I'm ready for another round of questions.
I'll be a lot gentler. I'm not gonna beat you black and blue. But I need to know about William Marshall.
What can you tell me about William Marshall?
Not much. History paints the story he was the greatest knight who ever lived. Amongst the immortals, he had a yet greater legend.
And why the reputation? What did he do? I've read he prevented some disaster in 1666. I can't remember the pronunciation, but it wasn't disaster. It sounded similar, but why the reputation?
Why would he deserve such a reputation?
I cannot say. The Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole has next to no intelligence on him. All I know is that he's supposed to be the oldest of all the British vampires.
As if he's still a vampire. He was going to drink some concoction if he could get the ingredients. Could that immaterial figure, my maker who appears to me, could that be William Marshall? Have I been named his champion to save England again and Britain? Why is Prewin so obsessed with him?
Why is the Guard of Prewin so obsessed with him?
He was the only ancient vampire to escape the first great hunt launched by the Guard of Prewin in 1854. They believe he's an evil creature plotting his return.
Even after he prevented disaster. Why would they accuse us, the guards, McCullum, of creating the epidemic?
Why would the Guard of Prewin believe you and I created the vampire epidemic?
Maybe due to our profession. Because I offered you shelter in my hospital.
Come on, there's got to be something more. You need to explain everything if I'm to put things right.
While investigating the epidemic, I read some of McCullum's findings. I think you have some explaining to do.
I have nothing to hide, Jonathan. Nothing at all.
Well, we need to start with Harriet Jones. She was a long-term patient within Pembroke Hospital.
Do you remember when we suspected Sean Hampton of killing Harriet Jones?
Yes. The terrible episode that came as a shock to us all.
Harriet Jones faked her own death. When I found her in the sewers, she confessed she wanted everybody to pay for what happened to her.
That woman was extremely bitter, full of hatred and festering anger.
And Doris Fletcher, are you aware what her real name was?
Do you know Doris Fletcher's real name?
No, I'm afraid not.
Her real name was Doris Jones. She was the daughter of Harriet Jones.
What do you want me to say, Jonathan?
Well, Doris Fletcher, Doris Jones, was infected, it seems, within Pembroke Hospital.
Doris Fletcher visited her mother at the Pembroke Hospital. That's how she first got infected.
I know nothing about that. Miss Fletcher once came to visit the sick. That is all I know.
No, Edgar, there is more. Doris Fletcher was Harriet Jones's daughter. They exhibited the same symptoms: blind hate and strong physical mutation.
What does this sad story have to do with us?
It's a little convenient that it all happened at the Pembroke, but don't you see the pattern?
Come on, Edgar. Don't you see the pattern here? The epidemic, the link between Doris and Harriet, the suspicion of McCullum.
How could I? I never saw Harriet Jones again after she fled the hospital.
Do you even know where we are right now, Edgar?
Do you know where we are? Doris Fletcher's theatre. This is where that hateful creature plotted to spread the epidemic across London.
I only briefly met Miss Fletcher once when she visited the Pembroke Hospital. You say it was to see her mother. She seemed like such a sweet and graceful woman.
She had a lot of
My
rage.
point exactly. The disease turned her into a bitter soul, driven by vengeance just like her mother. A symptom of all the infected patients.
Certain diseases are known to produce similar effects. Rabies, for example. And rabies is not the devil at work.
But this is too focused, too bitter, too maleficent, too wrong. It's no coincidence.
Doris and Harriet shared more than a hidden family bond. They were the embodiment of the epidemic and are linked to the Pembroke Hospital. Come on, Edgar, this is no coincidence.
I swear I'm at a complete loss. All I did was administer vampire blood to cure old Harriet.
What?
There was no evil plan, no diabolical plot.
You did what?
I tested the regenerating and healing properties of vampire blood on Harriet Jones. My only intention was to find the cure for influenza, I swear.
Whose blood did you use? William Marshall's? Mine?
Lady Ashbury's. While transfusing her with human blood, humanely appeasing her hunger, I also kept samples of her blood for my research.
You used
Without her
blood on
consent.
Harriet Jones. My God, Edgar, that's unethical. You betrayed 2 of your patients at the same time.
Right, I admit it. I boldly ventured into experimental realms, but I've killed no one to appease my thirst for knowledge, Jonathan. I'm no murderer.
I never asked to become what I am, Edgar. You chose to conduct your rogue experiments.
You have worked beside me. You saw what I'm doing at Pembroke Hospital. Jonathan, you know I'm not an evil soul. Just another victim of this tragedy.
Ah. You've created this epidemic. You betrayed my trust. You betrayed Lady Ashbury's trust. Oh, what do I do? If I let you die, the hospital falls apart. My only option to save you is to turn you into a vampire. However, who knows what damage you would do with access to your own vampire blood. I'm not embracing him. The option is to let him die or to turn him. What would turning him achieve other than saving Pembroke Hospital? We can find a new administrator. I could administrate the hospital once this epidemic is over. I'm not killing Edgar. I'm not embracing him. I cannot treat his injuries as a doctor. The only real option is, do I turn him or not? And I don't think I will. I don't want to create more vampires. I'm sorry, Edgar, but I don't think you do deserve death. But I'm not creating another vampire.
Yes, Edgar, you're about to die. I won't say it's fair, but I can't say you don't deserve it.
Your words hurt deeply, Jonathan. They come from a friend. I helped you, remember?
And I appreciate it.
I remember.
The second I saw you in that bar, I knew we would accomplish great things, you and I.
And we have.
I thought you were a vampire, till you brandished that cross.
You looked so lost when you opened that door. For a few seconds, I thought you were there to kill me.
I think we were both afraid.
And now, I feel true fear. Is there an afterlife? What will become of me when I'm dead, Dr. Reed?
I really cannot say, Dr. Swansea.
In the end, life betrays us all.
I feel awful. He wasn't a bad man. He wasn't an evil man. He was a foolish man. But he didn't deserve that. McCullum has Edgar's blood on his hands. I need to return to Lady Ashbury. She needs to be given the news and informed of what I've learnt. And I need to return to Usher Talltree, as he needs to know what happened to one of his own members.
So Harriet Jones became the original carrier when Edgar gave her vampire blood.
Oh.
I must tell Elizabeth.
Turn around. I wonder how... Oh, we're gonna have to fight our way through.
It's an each.
I wonder how Elizabeth's gonna react when she learns Edgar betrayed her trust in that way. But if Elizabeth is the original source of blood, Surely I can use Elizabeth as part of the antidote. Her blood again. Ooh. Right, let's focus on the fight and not get too distracted by scientific matters for the moment. Because if we know the source, which is a combination of Elizabeth and Harriet Jones... Excuse me, you didn't see anything. Pretend you didn't see that. Thank you. We know the source, Elizabeth and Harriet Jones, so from them I should be able to concoct an antidote. Or a vaccine. Elizabeth.
What good fortune brings you back to me, Jonathan? What is it, my dear?
No
I'm
good
afraid
fortune,
it's
I'm
bad
afraid.
news, Elizabeth. The worst, actually.
Please, speak up.
Edgar is no longer in McCullum's grasp. I resolved that matter.
Where is our good friend now? Is he well?
He was mortally wounded. I put an end to his misery.
That is terrible, Jonathan. And yet you did what you must. The poor man.
Edgar Swansea was responsible for the Skal epidemic, Elizabeth. It was he who unleashed the deadly scourge upon London.
What? Are you certain? This is the most terrible accusation of all.
He confessed everything to me. He sought to cure the disease, to exploit vampire blood to stop the epidemic. But he unwittingly gave birth to a catastrophe.
All those poor victims. How could he do it? What happened?
He gave no heed to ethics. That's what happened. He betrayed the trust of you and the trust of Harriet Jones in the most awful way.
Edgar gave no heed to ethics. His theory could have been proven to be correct, but he abused the confidence of his patients to test it.
I must say I'm shocked, Jonathan. Who would have thought it? And the poor patient. Let me guess. It was Harriet Jones, was it not?
Yes. That explains how Doris Fletcher was infected, and how she became an Icor. She secretly visited her mother at Pembroke.
Then we have no choice. We must act quickly, Jonathan. We must return to the sewers and put an end to the threat poor Harriet embodies.
I have one more matter to discuss with you. Harriet Jones was the primary case, but do you know what a healthy carrier is?
There is a tone in your voice that frightens me, Jonathan. What are you trying to say?
It was your blood Edgar used for his experiment on Harriet Jones.
What? No. No. This can't be. Oh.
Calm down, Elizabeth.
Are you all right?
No, I have to go.
What do you mean?
Leave me alone. Save the city, Jonathan. Save what can be saved.
Elizabeth, I need answers. Why did your blood
Stay
cause
away
this?
from me. Please. I swear I never was your
Wait.
enemy.
Elizabeth?
No. Elizabeth!
Lady Blackwood. Was she Lady Blackwood? Well, if the disasters are the same, then the antidote must be the same. The one I read about in William Marshall's memoir. I'm going to need a blood of a pure of heart, William Marshall. I'm going to need a drop of blood of a king, Geoffrey McCullum,
It's
his King
locked.
Arthur's blood. And then garlic, or in this case, perhaps insulin. Oh, Elizabeth. That news rocked her. There's something here that's yet to be discovered.